I want to talk about a topic that I was discussing with my friends recently, and the topic is don't listen to the professionals. And what I mean by that is there's doctors out there. There are professionals, there are doctors out there that are telling young youth, whatever, that they have disabilities, that they have this sort of problem, that they're telling young women that they can't have children, that they're incapable, they have a disease, or they have something wrong with them, that they can't have children, or they're telling people that they have a certain amount of time to live. I know that as a doctor, as a professional, as someone that has studied it for a long time, you must know something. But what angle I'm speaking from is don't tell the youth, don't tell people that they can't do something, especially if it comes to the capability of learning, the capability of doing a certain sport or having a certain, cardiovascular capability. Because let me tell you something, I was 3 months premature when I was born. When I was born, I was put in an incubator. I was pretty much like this big. I didn't even know, I can't even remember. Obviously I don't remember or know how big I was, but from what I've heard, I was very, very small. I was very, very small. I wasn't even developed properly. I was see-through, you could see through to my skin and everything. I was technically like a little alien thing. I then had to fight to survive. Growing up, I didn't actually get informed about what disabilities I had. I got more informed by my mum. My dad had always told me that there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with you. And I appreciated him for that. And I really, really loved that, because due to the fact that I wasn't in my mum's stomach for a long enough period of time, I didn't develop certain things that other people might have. But don't tell anyone that they can't do something, or that and I know it sounds all cliche, like motivational shit, like, oh, believe you can do it, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying professional people, parents, anyone, even if it's your peers or whatever, or other students, other workmates that are similar age to you, other kids or whatever, if they're telling you shit, I'm hoping that you wouldn't really take it seriously anyway. But people that are meant to be educated, meant to be, and I get that you're meant to have a guideline of a time frame of how long they're meant to live for, sure. You're meant to give a guideline of what symptoms they have and what it could cause damage to. I understand that. But this is the dilemma that I feel a lot of the youth in New Zealand, a lot of the youth in the world have come across. When you tell somebody that they're incapable of doing something, or that it's going to be challenging or hard for someone to do something, you are automatically giving them an excuse and a reason as why they are lacking in that area, or why they are not capable of being as good as someone else in that area. And that is a problem. Let me tell you an alternative. Instead of telling the youth, instead of telling people that they are incapable of doing something, they have a disability, a learning disability, that they're incapable of doing this or whatever, they have a cardiovascular problem, they didn't form their lung properly or whatever, and they shouldn't be able to do boxing, or they shouldn't be able to do, they shouldn't be able to run a marathon, whatever the case may be, that you wouldn't be able to have kids, or that it'd be very challenging to have kids. Don't say these things. Okay, I know that obviously if a young woman was gonna try and have kids and then it didn't work, and you're like, well, what the fuck, what's happening? And then the doctor goes, oh, well, this is why. It's good to know, but do not tell someone that they can't do something. Don't even bring it up. If the alternative that I'm trying to offer is let the youth figure out what their weaknesses and strengths are themselves. Because what happens is, if someone has no awareness of the fact, let's say a kid in this world is brought to this world, and let's say at least he's not, let's say he has special needs or whatever, or maybe not, whoever. Okay, a kid comes into this world, he grows up from the age of 5 to a teenage year, maybe 16, 17, 18. He's gonna start getting influenced from people he watches on YouTube, from people he watches on TV or whatever, or all that sort of stuff. And he's gonna wanna play a certain sport, he's gonna want to try a certain hobby, he's gonna want to learn this certain thing. And whatever those things are, let them try it. Do not tell them they can't do anything. Do not even tell them any disabilities that have anything to do with, that don't even have anything to do with that. It doesn't matter. The point is, with them not knowing, they're more likely to try stuff, and they might lack in something, they might fail at something. But if they don't already have a predetermined excuse, they are more likely to work on it and better it, just like everybody else in the world. Just because they may have a disability, or they may have a problem that caused them for it to be difficult to do certain things, let them figure out how difficult it is for themselves. Let their imagination figure out how much they really want to better at that area. Because when you give kids the predetermined disability, the fact that, it's going to be challenging for you, son, because you've got this thing here, blah, 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 blah. Do not even put that in their brain. Let them figure out what their weaknesses are and their strengths are by themselves. let them figure it out. You let them try stuff, let them trial and error, let them figure out shit for themselves. You as a parent, or you as a professional, as a doctor or whatever, you allow the youth to figure out their own disabilities and their strengths. That is the best case scenario. They're not, I don't give a This is what causes, I've got a couple of examples in my head, and it's not even the people that tell the youth that they have certain disabilities or whatever, or that tell even grown people that they have a disease, you know, that might kill them in a few years. You tell someone that they've got a few years left, there is a 50-50 chance, there is a chance that they're just gonna throw their life away. And look what you've done. They might die, yes, they might die, they might, you know, it might be a thing where, you know, you were right. There's two ways that people can comprehend this. They try their best to live that period of their life as best as they can, maybe even try and extend it. There's the other side that people will end up indulging in bad substances, bad habits, bad lifestyles things, to then cause them to put them in a worse position than they ever were in their life, because what's the fucking point? Because they've been told by a professional doctor that they've only got a few years left. Another example, when a young woman is told that they aren't capable of having babies or whatever, because they're going to comprehend it as that, especially if they're a young woman. Even if the doctor says you still might be able to have babies, but it's just a more difficult blah 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 blah. They'll say it like that, right? Even saying that is a problem. And I guess it's not even the doctor's fault, it's the person comprehending or trying to understand its fault. I understand that. But when you do that to people, that young woman is going to go on thinking that she's not capable of having babies. So what's the point of wearing condoms? What's the point of safe sex? What's the point of all this stuff if it's not at risk of having babies? And you can't blame doctors, you can't blame all that shit. That her individual has to take responsibility for the decisions they make. Of course. I'm not taking away that. But what I'm saying is that if we lived in a world where we didn't tell people what disabilities they had, or lived in a world where we didn't tell people, that they're incapable of doing certain things, that they have a certain time frame, that they blah 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 blah. Let them decide what time frame they have. Let them decide how much they're capable of doing, that they can do certain things. Because you're just taking away the potential that they have for themselves. You're taking away the imagination that they have for themselves. That's a problem that I've seen the past, few years or whatever. It's like, I've got disabilities too. I've got abilities as well. The abilities that I have are based on pure belief and based on my imagination and my influence that I've had growing up. But don't be telling the youth that they can't do shit because of a mental problem and a learning disability, and you can do well in school if you work hard on it. You can be good at speaking if you practice it. You can read a book if you just try again and try again. I don't care if you have fucking dyslexia. I don't care. It's not a fucking excuse. And also, stop telling the youth they have these problems. Don't tell someone they can't do a fighting sport because they have cardiovascular problems and they're going to be unfit, and it's not because they didn't work hard enough. It's because, just do the work. Just do the work. Try it. Don't let these mental excuses that the doctors, that your parents, that all these people have said that you can't and you're not capable of doing. It's not going to help anybody.